Toyota Hilux is one of the most common and reliable pickup trucks in the world. In Russia, it is perhaps the rarest. The Toyota Hilux pickup is over 45. The first-generation cars, which appeared in 1968, were rear-wheel drive and, in fact, cars, except perhaps with an open cargo body. However, by the 1980s, they had grown muscle and all-wheel drive and, one might say, made a name for Toyota. At least in the USA, it was thanks to Hilux that everyone learned that Japanese cars can be not only rusty, undersized. Despite the fact that the problem with corrosion is still familiar to the owners of these pickups, their reputation as one of the most reliable and enduring cars in the world has survived to this day. In Russia, Hilux was officially introduced in 2010. However, full-scale sales began only after its restyling in 2011. Quotas were then very small, but there were no special queues either. 3 variants of a pickup truck were delivered to our market, with a 2.5-liter 2KD FTV engine and a 5-speed manual transmission, with a 3.0-liter 1KD FTV and mechanics, and as a top version, with a 3.0-liter and automatic. In unofficial ways, cars from the Arab market and a little from Europe got to us. The first could well be gasoline, with 2.7-liter 2TR FE engines, the same ones that have been put on Prado since time immemorial. Only cars with diesel engines came from Europe, including those with atmospheric, blunt, but indifferent to the quality of fuel and lubricants. Right-hand drive Hilux are extremely rare in the European part of Russia, and we will not talk about them. In general, the price of pickups in 2010 practically does not fall below 900,000 rubles. Most, as a rule, is estimated at 1,200,000 rubles and higher. And if you are lucky enough to find a Hilux prepared in the style of Arctic trucks, then 2 million will not seem overpriced. But the offer is small. On one of the leading sites for the sale of used cars, there are no more than 100 of them, and almost half with additional equipment or tuning. Buyers of a new car can be downright disappointed with the trim. Not only are the materials frankly cheap, and the fit of some parts is far from exemplary, this economy also creaks on the go. After restyling in 2011, the interior has become more modern and quieter, but the quality and assembly are still not encouraging. At the same time, the interior is quite spacious and comfortable in its own way. Since the generation of 2005, the main problem of Hilux has gone into oblivion, a low ceiling, which is why the landing behind the wheel was uncomfortable. Now both the first and second rows of seats can accommodate adults taller than average quite well. The main disease of used Hilux is not a creak in the cabin and not its tightness, but sudden failures of the audio system in particular and various indicators in general. This is more than strange, given that Toyota has always had everything in perfect order with an electrician. Nevertheless, services are often contacted to reboot the radio, and this procedure does not guarantee a complete recovery. Of the annoying, but rare little things, there are also falling door seals and sticky buttons on the steering wheel. However, you have to be completely unlucky to encounter this. Masters of official services, specialized and completely random, only shrug their shoulders when asked about typical breakdowns and obvious shortcomings of Toyota Hilux. And in 2 Toyota technical centers, they categorically stated that, in addition to maintenance work, nothing had been done to them for all the years of official sales of pickups. An appeal to folk wisdom on the internet revealed that recurring malfunctions are more in the nature of whims that no one would pay attention to somewhere in Yemen or Namibia. For example, a chronically broken rear right mudguard or springs that creak without load. More serious problems can arise from frequent hard driving on very bad roads. The front wheel bearings and shock absorbers will die first, for some reason, more often the right one. If at the same time you have no choice in terms of fuel quality, then during a cold start, smoke may appear, which will progress for another 5,005 kilometers. Whitish smoke in the cold indicates the imminent death of the nozzles, which over time will be useless to clean and will have to be replaced. Corrosion affects 3 places: the bank of the main muffler, the windshield frame in the presence of even minor damage, and fasteners. Fortunately, before through corrosion, you can ride and ride. The paintwork is generally quite stable, but the chrome-plated rear bumper and false radiator grille suffer from reagents. Like all Toyota SUVs, Hilux pickups are conservative, durable, and reliable in a good way. They are collected in Thailand and South Africa. We often get cars from Africa. Differences in build quality are illusory, no matter what they say on the internet, but they are not at all in the configuration. Structurally, Hilux is a representative of the classical school of pick building. Frame, part-time drive, dependent spring rear suspension and independent spring front. A limited slip differential is installed in the rear axle, requiring the use of oil recommended by the manufacturer. The transfer case, of course, is a two-stage one with a full reduction gear of 2.62. From the point of view of reliability, all components and elements of the chassis and transmission are considered role models. It may not be possible to detect grease leaks during the entire life of the pickup truck, but if they already appear, you need to urgently go to the service. The pickup, although it looks like a condominium, does not forgive a dismissive attitude. Hilux has very tenacious brakes, especially if you do not carry 800 kilograms of cargo around the city at rush hour. Under normal circumstances, discs can survive 3 to 4 pad changes, which easily go 30,000 to 40,000 kilometers. Crosses and spline connections of cardan shafts can last 5 times longer. The picture is a bit overshadowed by a manual transmission. There are no complaints about the transmission itself, as well as the clutch. The problem is in gears flying off-road. Most often, owners complain about knocking out third and fourth gears. Since this happens exclusively on very bad roads, it can be assumed that the frame structure has some freedom relative to the body, but the shift mechanism just does not. That is, the transmission pulls out in the process of shifting the cab relative to the transmission attachment points. Adjusting the drive may or may not help. Cars with automatic transmission, of course, do not suffer from this. Spare parts for Hilux are quite expensive. OEM shock absorbers can be found for 8,000 rubles a piece, front wheel bearings with replacement, 15,000, the notorious mudguard will cost 800, the front brake disc, from 5,500 for the original, pads, 4,000 per pair, nozzles, from 3,500 to 6,000. Body parts are not very cheap either. Hood, 21,000 rubles, front fender, 9,000, driver's door, 20,000, rear, 19,000. Still, buying a used Hilux pickup truck is a very good investment, because they do not quickly lose value and retain their high performance for a long time.